good, everybody? It's man Big Don coming live now to another True Players Podcast episode live tonight, Tuesday night, recapping week 2 of the New York football teams, the Giants, the Jets, and we're going to talk about a little bit of Mets right now as the Mets are up 8-2 against the Sandiegopadres in the bottom of the 6th inning. Clay Holmes goes 4 innings. Manaea's in there on bullpen duty tonight. Excuse me. I don't know what the plan is for that. I guess it's probably a way to get Sean Manaea back in form. But before we get to the New York Mets part of it, now, guys, do you actually believe in 2 weeks straight, each New York football team would lose a game due to a field goal more than 60 yards? Who would have thought that? And it was the opposite this week. The New York Giants had an offensive explosion. The Jets got dominated. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into it, man. Let's not waste any time. Let's get into this episode. You know what I'm saying? The Giants lose in OT to the Cowboys 40-37. Russell Wilson had a bounce back game in which he went 30 for 41, 451 yards and 3 TDs, but that last interception in overtime led to the game-winning field goal by the Dallas Cowboys. You know, like I said, the offense is great, but the defense played badly. But there was one issue. You know, the beginning of the game sets the tone for everything, and this happens for both teams. One team was able to overcome it to make it a good ball game. The other team pretty much fizzled out after the bad start. But this guy James Hudson, I don't know where they got him from. This guy, I was watching both games on both TVs I have, and this guy was I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if he was purposely trying to get penalties or what have you. He had 4 penalties on that first drive. And you saw on the cameras, they panned to Brian Daboll talking about, you saw Brian Daboll say, yo, we got to take him out. We got to take him out. My only thing is, why didn't they take him out right away instead of letting him finish the drive? And this guy was throwing a fit, fighting teammates on the field. It was pretty much selfish on his part for what he was doing, to be honest with you guys. Very selfish. But then again, to that game, but the Giants was able to overcome that and make it a great game out of it. You know what I'm saying? Russ Wilson played a hell of a game, and maliknabors, like I said before, if you watch my previous podcasts, you know this guy's going to be a superstar. He is a superstar right now. He got a quarterback who could get him the ball. And I'm telling you, Neighbors, 9 catches, 167 yards, and 2 TDs, including the TD that I believe tied the game to bring it to overtime. You know what I'm saying? That's big catches right there. Big catches from a second-year player who's a superstar, in my opinion. The Giants got a catch there. They really do. Now, if they can find their running game, this offense could be viable. Because the most important thing is you can't go score for score with some of these football teams, and Dallas is not the team you go score for score with, because Dallas can score with anybody. You got ceedeelamb. You got their running back Javonte Williams, who also ran for 18 carries, 97 yards, and a TD. Also contributed with 6 catches for 33 yards. Dallas can move. Dallas can move that football up and down the field. There's no doubt about that. And Brian Schottenheimer, former New York Jets offensive coordinator, the man of ground and pound, got his first win as head coach. But the Giant penalties killed them. 14 penalties for 160 yards. That's murder right there. And I'm not even going to go into the team or the other team in that other locker room at MetLife Stadium. I'd even look at their penalties. I know they probably had similar. But like I said, good game, but you just want, for the Giants' sake, for the Giant fans' sake, you just wish it came out with a victory off that game. Because I don't know if you get another 450-yard game from Russell Wilson. I don't know that. Last week they were screaming for Jackson Dart. What is screaming for this week? What a way to respond to all the pressure in New York by going out there and throwing for 51 yards and 3 TDs. But the interception cost the game as well. So let's not forget that. So what the Giants are playing the Chiefs next week. The Chiefs are an angry team. They're 0-2. They got beat by the Eagles in the Super Bowl rematch. So they're going to be an angry team coming into MetLife Stadium, the Giants' first home game of the season, which is going to be a Sunday night football event, guys. At 8:05, I believe, kickoff time this coming Sunday. So tune into that. Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes. They just got to figure out the running game. Because if you figure out the running game, then the defense will have the ability to rest and get prepared to stop the offense. This is another high-powered offense the Giants are going to face this week with the Chiefs. So the defense has to play much better than what they played against the Cowboys. The Cowboys march up and down the field against them. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna if anybody wants to join the podcast, I'm gonna post it on the comment section. Join the podcast. You know what I'm saying? So give me 1 second, and we're gonna get this popping as we segue into the New York Jets. New York, as the Steve Summers said, the Jetropolitans. Now I'll just call them the Jets. After what I saw last week from the New York Jets, this game was very disappointing. Very disappointing how they came out. And the buffoonery that happened last year with all the penalties came back again. Last week they played a clean game with no penalties. This game was back to the buffoonery. And I can't say this yet about Michaelclemons. I think he is a new champion of roughing the passer on third down. He's a new world champion of that. You can't rough Josh Allen and hope your defense can hold that offense down. The Jets should have walked away from that drive from Buffalo with 3 points, giving up 3 points. They end up giving up a touchdown because of a bonehead play. Michaelclemons had time to stop. He had time to stop. And he decided to put hands on the helmet to helmet on the quarterback, mind you. Helmet to helmet. You can't do that. Your team's not good enough to overcome that. And look what happens. The Bills scored a touchdown. Russell Wilson gets hit. He fumbles the football on the next drive. Now, instead of being 3-0, you're down 10-0. Can't have that. The team's not good enough. You know, the Bills defense was ready for the running game offense of the New York Jets. They were ready for that. They were ready for that shit. They shut down breecehall. Breecehall only had 10 carries for 29 yards. After a monster game he had last week. He just held down to 10 carries, 29 yards. Now, don't worry, Jets fans. It's just the fact that he only got 10 carries was because the Jets was down big throughout the game. They didn't score a touchdown until Tyrod Taylor came into the game because due to an injury with Justin Fields. Now you got to worry about whether or not Justin Fields can play next week with a concussion. That's something that you definitely got to look into and worry about. And there was a few plays that they did not make. Josh Allen had to set out a series, not a series, a few plays. They had Mitch Trubisky in the game, and the Jets had a third and long. Could have gotten off the field, and they let Mitch Trubisky hit a big throw for third down for the third and long. So you already know the way the game is going at that point. You already know it. The offense led by Justin Fields only scored 3 points after an impressive showing. Now, I know what the fans are thinking. The fans are probably thinking, here we go again. Here we go again. I'm even having thoughts of that myself as a Jet fan. Don't mind the jersey I'm wearing. Don't mind the jersey. I'm a Jet fan. But like I said, the Jets lost a few players in that game. Jermaine Johnson was coming back from Achilles injury, injured his ankle during that game. The Jets defense lost contained. They allowed Josh Allen to run around them and run through him. And their running game, they couldn't stop the running game. We had James Cook going for 21 catches, 132 yards, and 2 TDs. This is a team that they made few trades during the offseason, during training camp, to solidify that running game, only to get run through today in this past game by the Buffalo Bills. That has to change. The team has to get off the field. Too many deja vu from last year's what happened in that game. And then even deja vu in the press conference from Aaronglenn saying that he took full responsibility because he didn't have him ready to play. Aaron, as a Jet fan who watched you play as a Jet, a guy who came back from the fake spike fiasco in '94 to come back and become an all-pro cornerback for the New York Jets. You not having this team ready was unacceptable in my book. It was unacceptable. We were supposed to be above the Rob Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich regime. This kind of like reverted back to it. Now maybe I'm just saying this out loud. Maybe you need to get rid of some of those players that was under that regime and bring in your type of players. Maybe that's just the case. I want Aaronglenn to make a bold move and cut michaelclemons this week. Because this is not the first time he roughs the passer on third down and caused Jets some points. It's not the first time. So, I'm expecting Aaronglenn to have an option. Albeit, I thought the option for the Jets is if you were to cut michaelclemons, you could sign Jadeveon Clowney. But guess what? The Cowboys picked him up. So you can't even go there. Can't go there no more. So what you going to do? The guy can't stay on the team if he's going to keep doing that. This guy's going to do it again. It's going to cost you another game. But I'll tell you this. This Jet team, for some reason, albeit not talent-wise, but the whole feel of this season after 2 games reminds me of the 98 team. Okay? Look, remember the 98 team. Glenn Foley was supposed to be his coming out party with the New York Jets. He's supposed to be the future of the New York Jets. Goes mano a mano against Steve Young in Candlestick Park in 98. I believe he threw over 386 yards. But the Jets lost the game in overtime because they couldn't tackle Garrison Hurst on a kickoff. They lost that game. Now the Jets also lost this year's Jet team lost to the Steelers in overtime. I can't remember the exact play. They couldn't stop the Steelers. I'm sorry. The Xavier Gipson fumble changed the title of that game that led to the loss against the Steelers in overtime due to a 60-yard field goal by Pittsburgh's kicker. Look at the correlation, guys. I'm not saying that is going to happen. Don't twist my words. But you see the eerie connection from week 1 of 98 to week 1 of 2025. The eerie connection. Now you come into the week 2. You got, albeit the Jets in 98 faced the Ravens, they lost 24-10 to the Ravens. And that up and coming defense, young defense. They stifled Curtis Martin there in that game. And you come to this game. Well, now Buffalo stifles the Jets running game. Let me go back to the 98 game where Glenn Foley gets injured during that football game in 98. Vinny comes into the game late in the game. Okay? Now, in week 2 of this year, We watched Justin Fields get injured with concussion in the third quarter. Tyrod Taylor comes in and finishes off the game. Now, I'm not saying Tyrod Taylor is Vinny Testaverde, but the eeriness of how that happens this season with the head coach who was a witness, was a player in 98 for the New York Jets, and now who is the head coach of the football team in 2025. 27 years ago. Think about it, guys. Don't lose me. I'm not saying the Jets are going to make the playoffs. This Jet team is going to make the playoffs and make it to the AFC Championship game. I am not saying that. But the eeriness of 2 weeks of the 98 season and 2025 season is somewhat similar in the sense of the energy. Everyone was like, "Oh shoot, Glenn Foley's going to be the franchise quarterback." Oh shoot, after we game one, the Jets did lose, but Justin Fields could be our franchise quarterback, and they both got injured week 2. But my one question to you, Jet fans, is this: I have a question for you guys. Now, if Tyrod Taylor could lead this Jet team to a victory next week against the Bucks, a very good Bucks team in Tampa, and plays well, and Justin Fields recovers from his concussion, do you put Justin Fields back in to start the quarterback for week 4? Do you go there? Because in that game, in this past game, week 2, Justin Fields missed Garrett-Wilson on a third down, in which if he hit Garrett-Wilson in stride, it was going to be a big play. The one problem with Justin Fields is his accuracy, and that has to be straightened out. He can run the football, but we need him to be a complete quarterback, where he could also pass as well. But like I said, think about that. Think about that analogy I just gave you guys between the 98 team and the 2025 team. The only thing that can break that analogy is the Jets get up and lose next week. They get up and lose next week. That could kill my analogy, but it's eerily feels that way. And I hope to God it does end up the same way like 98 team. I'm not gonna lie to you. I hope it ends up like that. But by the same token, this is a new coach who's trying to find his footing with this team. I do think he needs to work out the roster a little bit to fit his persona, because there's too many Robert Saleh energy still left in that room that he needs to extinguish before he fully has his team. I know he preached to the fans patience. I get the fans also who said we're tired of being patient. We want a team that can win. But you can't ask a first-year head coach to win in his first year. That's too much to ask for, especially with the roster that they had. He doesn't have Aaron Rodgers who's throwing that football. He has Justin Fields. He doesn't have the receiving core that the 98 team had with Corbett and Johnson. He doesn't have that type of receiving core. So, it's back to the drawing board. They gotta fix the wrongs that they did. And I'm thinking Taylor could move this football team. But the thing what this team's gonna be exposed to now is with Tyrod Taylor throwing the football is the need for a second wide receiver to go along with Garrett-Wilson. Otherwise, they're going to rely on Rucker. They're going to rely on Taylor to be that secondary receiver, and even Bryce Hall to be that secondary receiver for Tyrod Taylor. Got it. Come on, you got to win. We got to win. We got to win against the Bucks. Very tough team with a very good quarterback in Baker Mayfield, and a former New York Jet head coach who's chomping at the bit to get revenge for his firing back in the day. Head coach, Todd Bowles was last head coach, got a winning record with the Jets at 10-6 in 2015. Remember that. But enough with that. I will definitely have I didn't have a preview of the next game. last week, and I do apologize for that. But we will have a preview this week, so stay tuned for that. Whether it's going to be a live or just a video being posted, I will let you guys know. But on that note, before I end the podcast, I want to speak about the New York Mets and how they ended their 8-game losing streak. They are up 8-2 right now against the Padres. It seems like they're chasing for the second wild card spot. I don't think they're not going to catch the Padres in the second round, the second spot. And plus, the Padres have an opportunity to win the division too. They're 2 games behind the Dodgers. 2 games behind the Dodgers. The Dodgers don't look as dominant as they did last season. So they have an opportunity, but the Mets are also fighting to keep that spot because you got San Francisco behind on their butts. They got Cincinnati on their butts. So the Mets have to keep winning. Hopefully, along the line, we get Lindor gets hot, and Soto gets hot as well. Lindor just had a home run today, his 27th home run of the year. So hopefully, that's signs of turning it around to get the Mets back to playing great baseball like they were playing early in the season. And you got to say this about NolanMcClean. He is our stopper. I haven't seen a pitcher who pitched as tough as he's a tough pitcher. Got to some jams Sunday and got out of the jams on Sunday. His spin rate on his slider and his curveball is magnificent, and he throws now over 96 miles an hour. 96 miles an hour. This guy has command of 5 pitches. And I'm not saying he got a B, C plus command of 2 to 5 pitches. He has almost an A control on all 5 of his pitches, what makes him a very dynamic pitcher. Like I said, the Phillies beat him 1-0 in that great Phillies lineup a week ago. Beat him 1-0. It wasn't 5-0. It was 1-0. And Brandon Sprout pitched a hell of a game on Saturday, only to have the bullpen blow that game. The Mets, that's the Achilles heel of the New York Mets, is the bullpen. And I felt where David Stearns erred in his ways of his pursuit of pitching was he looked too much for bullpen help instead of getting that one more starter. Could have traded for somebody like Severino. Playing for the A's. Could have traded for him. No big time, no big time starter, but somebody who could definitely give you at least 5 innings. I seen Sprout and McClain back-to-back give us 6 innings each. Back-to-back this past weekend. And they're rookies. The Mets going to the playoffs. If everything falls into place, Nolan McClean has to be starting game 1. Not Manaea, not Senga, definitely not Holmes. Definitely not Holmes. It's going to be McClean. Definitely McClean is going to be starting. And Pete Alonso also hit a home run. And I say now Manaea is third inning of relief. He just got taken out of the ballpark. I believe let me see who took him out. Freddie Fermin hit a solo home run that scores now 8-3 New York Mets. Yeah. Something's off of Manaea this season, or maybe last season was a flash in the pan for him. But I'm hoping he comes back and pitches the way he pitched last season in the playoffs. But yeah, like I said, Pete Alonso has proven to me that he deserves his new contract. And if I was the Mets, if I was David Stern, I'm talking. I know he wants a long-term deal. He's I believe he's 32 or 33. I would go 4 years. Let's start the negotiation with $30 million per year, 4 years, 120 million, and then he has a play option for year 5. And see what Scott Boras tells you. But I'm not paying him $40 million. If I'm paying him $40 million a year, it has to be a team opt out or a player opt out in year 3. If you're going $40 million, we'll give him $160 a year. That's what I would do. But for me, I would start with 4 years, $30 million, 4-year contract with a player option for year 5, and see where we go from there. See where you go from there. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end this podcast because it's quite possibly me and Joey G may be back in about half hour. You guys may get blessed with a double header of live podcasting from the True Players podcast. Whereas episode 3 of season 8 will be coming. But stay tuned. You don't know what may happen. You guys haven't seen me in 2 months, and I'm back with back-to-back episodes, probably another episode, another half hour. Who knows? But stay tuned. And if we do come back, we're going to talk about WWE and their the treatment of black wrestlers. Joey G may speak about the Charlie Kirk situation and the murder of him. I'm not going to entertain that conversation in the interest of protecting my income. I'm not going to entertain that conversation no way, shape, or form while we agree or disagree with anything. I'm just going to listen, hear what he got to say, and go from there. But stay tuned, guys. You can watch this podcast on YouTube at True Players Podcast. Like and subscribe to my channel. Please, I'm trying to get my subscriptions up to at least 100 by the end of the month. Tell your friends about the podcast. Look to expand the podcast for more co-hosts. So definitely reach out to me at trueplayerspodcast@gmail.com. If you for your listening pleasures in the car, I'm also on Spotify at True Players Podcast. This episode and also the last week's episode will be on that platform for now. All right, so it's your man Big Down. I'm about to sign off on this podcast. Stay strong. Stay believing yourself. Block out the noise. Remember, it's not everything's your fault. So that's all I can say about that. Just believe in yourself. Stay true to yourself. Don't let no one say that you're something else that you're not. All right? So peace, everyone. Stay tuned. We could be back in a half hour. Later, people.